Huge thanks to OK Jazzy. They're your go-to for the 2026 World Cup and an incredible retro archive. They got decades of iconic league classics, from legendary 90s designs to the rarest club heritage kits. Whether it's a high-performance player version or a timeless vintage look, prices start at just £15, 4.5 Trustpilot rating and fast shipping. Use code Chris for 8% off and grab your piece of football history now.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Chris Cowlin, and this is another episode of the Spurs Chat Podcast. And in this edition, we will be talking about Tottenham's win at Molineux. Wolves 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1, João Palhinha with the only goal of the game. And Tottenham Hotspur are back to winning ways in the Premier League for the first time in 118 days. But it isn't enough to take Tottenham Hotspur out of the bottom three this afternoon, because West Ham, of course, got a last-minute winner against Everton at the London Stadium. So Spurs remain in the bottom three, but Spurs do have 4 games left of this Premier League campaign. Aston Villa away, Leeds at home, Chelsea away, and Everton at home. Now, as I mentioned, Spurs remain in the bottom three, 34 points from 34 games. West Ham are just ahead, 36 points from 34 games. Nottingham Forest are 5 points above the drop zone, and Leeds United are 6 points above the drop zone. As I mentioned, West Ham 2, Everton 1, Wolves 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1, and João Palhinha with the only goal of the game after 82 minutes, assisted by Richarlison. Now, the match facts and stats. Wolves with 40.6% of the ball to Tottenham's 59.4%. XG, Wolves 0.62 to Tottenham's 1.05. Shots, both teams had 11, and both teams had 2 shots on target. Total touches inside the opposition box, Wolves 13, Spurs 24. Goalkeeper saves, Sarr 1, Kinski 2. Aerial duels 1, Wolves 11, Spurs 19. Fouls committed, Wolves 8, Spurs 14. And corners, both teams had 5 apiece. Now, we are live on YouTube, live on X and Facebook. Please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now, and let us know whether you think that Spurs can avoid the drop to the Championship at the end of the season. Now, back with us, we've got 3 channel regulars, and they're all smiling. Ricky Norwood's back with us. Ricky, how are you?
Buzzing, bruv. Buzzing. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I'm buzzing. Super happy to be back on with you beautiful people on the pod yourselves, you beautiful gentlemen, and all you beautiful people from around the world. We have won a game, and
there you go. That's what he thinks of that.
Every single one of the guests today have had Wi-Fi problems. So, Ricky, we got most of that. Also back with us is Darren Altman. Darren, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Managed half an hour in the sun today, so I'm feeling just topping up my tan. Got the vitamin D. That was nervy. Oh, that was nervy, mate. I'm all right. I'm all right. We'll get into it. We'll have a chat. But, yeah, that was very nervy. It's not enjoyable watching our team, is it? It's not like a nice put your feet up, have a nice cup of tea and a cold beer. And, you know, it's just, oh, that was nervy. That was nervy. We did it.
We will get into it. We will get into it, yes, indeed. And also back with us from Ireland is Gareth McGuinness. Gareth, how are you?
Brilliant, Chris. Brilliant to get a 1. No fingernails left, but delighted for the fans as well, especially the ones that travel every week. It's been a long time coming, so let's kick on now, hopefully.
Now, there is a lot to get into.
Now, just before we get into it, some of you might already know this, but I'm on the Fanalysis app, which is the new home for football, and I'd love you, as the viewers and listeners, to get involved. The Fanalysis app is free to download. Just use the QR code on the screen or in the link in the video or audio description, and make sure you follow me there. My handle is @ChrisCowlin. As you know, certain social media platforms are horrendous to be on at the moment. There is a lot of hate and bots, and it's always a nightmare to see the club hashtag getting invaded when it comes to talking about Spurs. Fanalysis has personalised hubs for each fan base, and I'd love to fill the Spurs one with more of you guys. On the app, you can rate the players, the manager, and even the referee after every match. There's also a fun feed on there, as well as polls to get the consensus of die-hard Spurs fans, and only we as Tottenham Hotspur fans can vote on them. I've actually just made a poll on the Spurs page, so make sure you get over there and vote on it.
Now, Ricky, let's start the show with you. What are your thoughts on today's win and today's performance?
My goodness, Chris and gentlemen. Listen, it was one of those. We all knew that we had to win today. We all knew that we had to win this game today, especially after having a good performance against Brighton. We deserved to win that game against Brighton. We didn't. It was a 2-2. But you know what? For us to go into today with that fight again, it's like I can see them at least fighting for it. I can see that they at least want it. And it was a tough game. It was a tough game. And the longer it went on, the nervier it got. But the fact that we got the goal towards the end, the fact that we actually kept a clean sheet, the fact that Kinski, had a massive save right there at the end as well with that free kick. All round good performance. And do you know what? We got the 3 points. We got it. It could have been a terrible performance, but you know what? We got the 3 points this year. Finally, we are actually in the fight. We are actually standing up to be counted. We're going head to head now with the rest of the teams that are fighting to stay in the league, and we're in it now. And just the rest of the league, we're hoping that this run of us not winning this year would just continue. But now that we have got the win, I think that the teams around us are just going to feel a little bit like the heat's on the back of their neck a little bit. So thank goodness, Chris. Thank goodness. I'm so happy that we got the win. I'm so happy that Paulinho got the goal. Especially with some of the things that were going against us. Some of the refereeing decisions, again, going against us. More so rubber to green rather than just against us. But those were going against us. We had 2 injuries, 2 big players again, that have dropped out of the side. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with them. We'll wait for reports, but we know how lucky we are with injuries. And, even a knock turns into 6 months. So we had Udogie out as well today. So, look, with all the things that have gone against us, and when we've seen things go against us, we've seen how the boys have dropped energy, or they've dropped belief, or started feeling sorry for themselves a little bit. Today, it wasn't that. Today, we just kept going. Whoever came onto the field was there to do a mission, there to do a job, and they came in to do it. We switched the formation a couple of times. We obviously switched personnel a couple of times, but every single one, pretty much. I've got a couple of small criticisms, but pretty much nearly all of them were up for the mission today and went out there to secure this 3 points. And my goodness, thank God, thank the universe, thank all of the people, all of the Tottenham fans that were praying around the world. Finally, our prayers came true and we got a win. Now, at least we can stand up to be counted.
Rick, you can see the video playing on the stream now, what it meant to a lot of these Tottenham Hotspur players, particularly Mickey van der Ven, very passionate at the full-time whistle, and absolute scenes in the away end, because that meant a lot to all of the travelling supporters today. Now, Roberto De Zerbi in the post-match presser, he just said that, I believe we will stay up in the Premier League. If I stay here, it's because I'm positive, not because I'm a coach of Tottenham. It's not important if you're Tottenham on the pitch. The most important thing is the qualities of the players and the human levels of the players. Now, we knew that before this game that Wolves were relegated to the Championship, but, the attendance today, every seat was full. The supporters were there for the team today of Wolverhampton Wanderers. And this was a tough game. This was a scrappy win from Tottenham Hotspur today, because their previous 3 home games, They're drawn against Arsenal and beat Liverpool and Aston Villa. So we knew that this was going to be a tough game. But sometimes you have to win scrappy. Sometimes you just need to get the 3 points. And Roberto De Zerbi there has come out and said, I believe that we will stay up. Do you have more belief now that we will and can stay up?
Chris, we got 3 points today, mate. We turned up. We turned up last week. We saw an improvement on Sunderland, right, against Brighton. Last week, we didn't get the 3 points that we deserved, but we come here against Wolves, and it was a very similar type of game to Sunderland in the sense that, you know, all we had to do was start stringing passes together or start, like, getting our momentum going. All we needed was that first goal, and I think that there would have been a couple more from us. But it was, like you say, it was scrappy, and right now, Wolves, they've got nothing to lose, right? And sending your home fans, and like you said there, it was a full house, so sending your home fans home with a win, right? Even though there's nothing to play for in that sense, the Wolves stood up and they went to give that to their fans. So you can only respect them for doing it. They never laid down. They never rolled over. Even in extra time today, they were still going for it, and the manager was chucking on forwards, left, right, and centre. So, you know, even though they are confirmed relegated right now, they still wanted to play for their fans, and I respect that from them. I respect that they went out there with their chests high and went out there to compete against us. You know, we're fighting for the world right now, and they've got nothing to fight for, but yet you still saw them come out and give that display. Nobody's going to give Tottenham an easy game. You know, or the feeling is that a lot of other teams can't wait for us to go down. They want to laugh at us with big belly laughs, you know, like, ha, 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 ha. That's how they want to laugh at us, bro. So, you know, Wolves are, again, not that they've got any skin in the game to win it or to put us down, but you know what? They could contribute to the downfall of Tottenham and send their home fans home happy. So, bro, you know, it was still a tough game, but it was all on us. Look at the possession today. Look at the again passing forward today. The high press. I'm seeing a lot more from Gallagher. I thought again another really. It wasn't outstanding. It wasn't like world class, but a really good, solid game. And him playing under De Zerbi, I know we only signed him in January, but him playing under De Zerbi is a totally different player. I haven't seen this Gallagher, Tudor, or for Frank, or I just haven't seen it, you know. And to see him put in an immense shift today, he was all over the park. He was closing down tackles, putting his body on the line. He had that clash with Doherty, didn't he? There was so many. He was getting his head on it. He was trying to be influential and try and show what type of player he is. And finally, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see why we bought him now. When I'm looking at that display against Brighton last week and then today, I'm starting to see it. And it seems like these boys are really responding to the manager, to his words, to his way of play. They're responding to his belief. You know, you can see it. Look at the roars from Paulinho when he scored today. Look at the, like you said there, you just chucked it on the images. It meant so much to every single one of those boys today. And that's what we want, right? That's what we've been calling for. We want care. We want you to care. We want you to fight. We want you to, you know, feel it. You know, we want you to want to stay in this league. We don't want to see you dropping your head. We don't want to see, you know, sulking or feeling sorry for themselves. We want to see that you want this fight. And like last week, I kind of gave the example of we've been hanging off of this cliff by our fingernails for so long. And against Brighton, we managed to get our elbow onto the cliff. We haven't pulled ourselves up yet, but we've got our elbow onto the cliff. Well, this week, we've got our other elbow onto the cliff. So we're not too far away from pulling ourselves up. But it's going to take more effort. It's going to take more points. And it's going to take more wins right up until the end of the season. I'm just super duper happy right now that we showed a good side of us. We showed some belief there. And I've got a feeling now that we've won that game, now that we've heard the final whistle, in extra time with a 1-0 win and the 3 points, and I'm hoping and I'm praying again, but I've got a feeling that everything is just going to be lifted off of them. Not lifted, but like they're going to feel energized by it. They're going to feel confidence by it. And I think that they're going to start to believe that they can win. Now that they have won, they can win and they can put their best foot forward. Last week was a proof of concept on De Zerbi and what he's doing, and you saw that they could express, score, dictate, find pockets. And then today we got the win over the line. So those 2 games are massive right now. I think it's going to do tremendous things for the squad and for the team. As soon as they start training for the next game, do you know what I mean? I think they're going to feel it tonight, but keep their heads on. You can't be popping champagne like we did, at Ajax with Lucas Moura, and then we went into the final and it was a bit, we was popping champagne after that Ajax game. We can't be popping champagne right now. Have your celebration because you've earned it. You deserve it. But get your head back in the game and let's go again. Let's go again. We've got, what is it? Villa next. Let's go again.
Ricky, for once on the podcast, in podcast history, just give me a yes or a no. Are Spurs staying up?
I've already said can you circle back to me with this one? By the end of the pod, I'll answer it for you.
Okay.
But I'm much more hopeful, and I believe much more today than I did a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Darren, let's come to you. What did you make of today's performance and today's win?
Right, let's start off with some positives. I like our style of play. We were very forward-thinking. We were attacking today. Some good performances. I thought Jed Spence had a good game. Gallagher was all over it. Kinski was magnificent. What a save at the end. That is a match-winning save. And if we do stay up, that save will be remembered. That was going top right-hand corner. It was amazing. I like the desire from the players. It was a lot more forward-thinking. But I'm going to be real. When it takes 68 minutes to have your first shot on target against a very average-looking Wolves, I'm sorry. I know they threw on a load of forwards, but that was to the end of the game. That was the last 20 minutes. They weren't all that. They didn't look like a great team. They didn't look like they were going to score. I think Kinski was doing a crossword or Sudoku at some point. They weren't anywhere near our goal. So I think we made a very average team look good. And I think that when the shit was really hitting the fan today, I was so frustrated. I thought we were reverting to type. Yes, we were playing it forward, and it was an attacking looking formation. It was improvements, again, more improvements on the Sunderland game and the Brighton game. But I'm sorry, I'm not as optimistic as Ricky, I'm afraid. I just didn't see. We've got no forwards, Chris. I've been saying it to you for ages. We don't have strikers. Kolo Muani. Let me preempt your question. What did you think when you saw the team sheet, Darren? I was disgusted. Why is Kolo Muani starting? He offers nothing. I do not get it. Tell came on, and within 3, 4, 5 minutes, he got amongst it. He started playing. He made a difference straight away. What is Kolo Muani doing? What does he see? What did Tudor see? What did Frank see in that gentleman that I'm not seeing? And I will look at the comments, and I'll bow to you and Ricky and Gareth. I don't get it. I don't get it. You hear those words coming out my mouth, Chris, on every time I do a podcast. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And again, he offered nothing. So I'm really happy with the 3 points. It was such a shame that the Hammers won today. When Everton equalised, we were all screenshotting the league and all that. But I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little bit real now. And I was very, very frustrated for the majority of that game. I thought when you don't have a shot on target for 70 minutes against a team that are relegated, I'm sorry, it's disgusting. We don't have any strikers. Even Nat, my girlfriend, was sitting next to me shouting and screaming and saying, what's going on? Like, you've got no patterns of play here. Like, there's no breaking the lines. I mean, so that's my real thoughts and real approach.
Darren, as I mentioned earlier in the intro, we've got 4 Premier League games left. Aston Villa away, Leeds at home, Chelsea away, Everton at home. I think most people will say that it is between Spurs and West Ham to go down now alongside Burnley and Wolves. Now, when you look at West Ham's remaining 4 fixtures, Brentford away, Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, Leeds at home, who's going down?
Newcastle are there for the taking at the moment. Leeds are on a upward trajectory, but they got the cup game, so they're going to be slightly distracted. Judging on that performance,
because do you think that this win can be the turning point of the season? There's 4 games left, but like Ricky said, and I know sometimes Ricky's positivity does frustrate some people, but you know, he's come in, he's trying to be this positive figure. We've got 4 games left. I do feel like we have seen a difference under Roberto De Zerbi, but I also totally agree. Today was frustrating. Like first half, a lot of people in the away end, they were moaning and complaining, and especially at the start of the second half, because we seemed to be playing the ball out like there was all the time in the world. And a lot of the fans, they were getting frustrated at that point, saying, come on, you know, we're meant to be winning this game. You know, you're going after 3 points. But I also said as well that, you know, going to Molineux, I think a lot of people see that Wolves are sitting bottom of the table thinking that it's an easy Premier League game. I don't think easy Premier League games exist. And sometimes you do need to win ugly. But I'm sitting here thinking, you know, we've got 4 games left. West Ham are fighting for their lives. We've seen recent results. You know, Nottingham Forest going away to Sunderland, winning 5-0. I don't think anyone predicted that. I don't think anyone on the planet would have predicted that scoreline. So everyone is fighting for their lives. I suppose the question that I've got for you is, do you see enough fight? Do you see enough passion, desire that we are going to get out of this? Because De Zerbi said that he does see it, but we've got to see it on the pitch, haven't we?
100%. I completely agree. You can have all the passion and all the desire in the world, but if you've got no bloody strikers and you're not shooting at the goal, it doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry. I just don't see where goals are coming from. You need to shoot at the goal to get a goal, Chris. And time again, where's our number 9?
Yeah.
We haven't had a number 9 since bloody Kane left. I mean, Solanke, and you know, people are going to say, oh, he had a great game, defensive headers, breaking up the play. And that's all true. That is true. He had a fantastic game, defensive headers, breaking up the play, dropping deep. He's a striker, Chris. I've said it time and time again. He gets paid to score goals. I can't remember the last time he scored a goal. We've got no bloody strikers. So don't answer me that question, because you won't like the answer I'll give you. It was a good performance. It was a gutsy performance. Passion, blah, blah, blah. Paulinho running towards the fans. Great. Really good. We won ugly. But they weren't all that good. And I agree with you, Chris. There are no such things as easy games in the Premiership, blah, 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 cliche. But they weren't that good today. They were a bang average team in that first half, and we couldn't shoot at the bloody goal. I don't understand it. If you're in the comments, please tell me why it takes 70 minutes to have a shot on the goal against Wolves, because I'm scratching my head here.
So, Darren, is that a polite way of saying that you think we are going down?
Yes, I do not see. We've got no strikers, Chris. We've got no bloody strikers. Where are the goals going to come from? Passion's one thing, determination, the will to win, blah blah blah. But we got no bloody strikers.
Yeah,
no creativity. God
Darren,
forbid.
you know,
What's going to happen to Xavi? Is there any word on that?
Not at the moment, but there is no wrong and right answers on this podcast. It's only how you feel.
No,
and
I know.
Be honest,
You know, I don't want to be. I don't want to be the harbinger of doom, but from what I saw today with my own eyes, you know, passion, will, forward thinking, great, lovely, but we're not shooting at the bloody goal. So are we gonna go down? Probably yes. Where's our creativity? We got none.
Yeah, I agree. And the 4 of us, including Craig and Ricky, sat here only a couple of weeks ago, and we all said that we felt that we were going to go down. At the moment, you know, I said this after the Brighton game. If we showed that heart and desire in the remaining games, then we do have a chance. And getting the 3 points today was an absolute must. it gives us a chance. You know, we are running out of games, and that is a problem for me. 4 games left, and they are all very difficult matches. So, you know, let's wait to see what happens. You know, we can all just sit here living in hope and praying that we do stay up. But is it a reality? Let's wait and see. Gareth, let's get your thoughts on today's win and performance.
Look, obviously the two lads have very different opinions on today. So I'll try and provide some sort of balance between the two. But it's definitely a better result than it was a performance. I don't think the performance was as good as it was last week against Brighton. I thought we were much better last week. Definitely in forward areas, you could point the defensively. We've kept a clean sheet today. Last week we conceded 2 goals, but the 2 goals in itself, Brighton didn't create an awful lot against us. You know, it was a great strike from Matoma and a mistake at the end. So I thought as a unit we were much better last week. But of course we all feel a lot better this week due to the getting that first one at 2026 and obviously that one in feeling that we've lost touch with really. So my thoughts, I kind of agree more with Darren that as that performance going to be good enough to beat Aston Villa, as that performance going to be good enough to beat Leeds, to beat Chelsea, or to beat Everton, and you'd have to say no. You know, if we play the Gareth Villa Park next Sunday, we're more than likely going to lose. So I think, you know, it's very fresh and we're on after the game, and you don't want to be. I know there's a lot of fans watching, and you don't want to be too negative because we have won the game, but we do have to provide a sense of reality, and you know we want to be credible in our analysis of the game and of where we see the next few weeks going. Otherwise, nobody would take us seriously. But I think since De Zerbi's come on, maybe the Sunderland game wasn't great, but at least in the last couple of games, we have seen those things that Darren and Ricky talked about: the fight, the desire, you know, the maximum effort. I think, you know, over the last 2 weeks, it's difficult to say that the effort hasn't been there. I think, you know, that's the frustration, and we mentioned it on the previous podcast after the Brighton game, Chris, that, you know, it's such a shame that it's taken De Zerbi to come on for the players to react. You know, regardless of who's been on the bench or on the sideline, you know, you should be given 100% every week. You know, whether you don't like the manager, whether you don't like the tactics, you have a duty to the fans around the world and the owners as well, who I know have been criticised, but they're paying the wages of the players. So, you know, we all have jobs. If we don't do 100%, we're pulled up on it. You know, it's not, you know, how many people watching this podcast don't like their manager? You know, it shouldn't take a manager you like to come on and work harder. So, look, I'm mixed emotions. I think the West Ham goal has probably changed things because we're still 2 points behind, and you feel now that, and I did say this on last week's podcast, Chris, that I felt we were going to have to win one of those 2 big away games at Villa or Chelsea, and it looks very much now like we're going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat. You know, there is, at the moment, you couldn't sit here and say beat Leeds and beat Everton and you're guaranteed safety. There's a chance we're going to need a third result. I think we're going to need at least 2 wins, at least, and possibly a third or 2 wins and a draw. They stay up. So,
are we going to see that rabbit?
Well, I mean, I said last week, Chris, on the podcast, and I'll say it again. You know, we see some strange results this time of the year. I referenced the West Ham one at Old Trafford on the last day of the season. Carlos Tevez. You know, West Ham couldn't win a game. I remember it was the same season that Stalteri scored the last-minute goal, and West Ham thought they were down. They went on. They won, I think, 3 of their last 4 games, and won at Old Trafford on the last day to stay up. I remember Wigan coming back from 2-0 down against Arsenal. They won 3-2, and we've seen some crazy escapes. And if you look at that Nottingham Forest result on Friday night, Chris, that tells you everything about. You get very, very strange results this time of the season against teams that are fighting, and maybe teams like Sunderland, they're on the beach, really. Nothing really to play for. Probably not going to make Europe, safe in the league. You know, you'd probably rather be playing teams in mid-table than you would be playing teams in the bottom 3. It's a strange thing to say, but Forest have something to play for, and that made it a more difficult game for Sunderland. So, yes, today Wolves were already relegated, but there was a sense, you know, Rob Edwards had said that they wanted a performance that they owed the fans, and, you know, Wolves, you know, they didn't have a lot of quality today, but they really did give everything that they have. They try and make it as difficult as they can for Spurs, and there's even an instance when there was an injury The goalkeeper made Conor Gallagher run the length of the pitch to close him down. Then he put it back down and made him do it again. So, Wolves were playing their part and being integrity to the league. They weren't just going to roll over. So fair play to Wolves, because if Wolves had been playing West Ham today, we would have been expecting Wolves to put up a fight. So very mixed emotions, Chris, but I think it's really important that we got the win today. If we had a loss today or drew today and West Ham had done the same, I wouldn't have been feeling as good or as confident. The fact that they've won a game now, we've got that monkey off our back. Hopefully that can lead to more wins. But it is going to be difficult. And I thought before today, 38, 39 points might be enough. We may need to go into the 40s, depending on, they pulled up a stat on Monday Night Football. I think of West Ham was at 20 points out of the last 42. So that's now 23 out of the last 46. So, West Ham are averaging, a point out of every two. So based on that, you would imagine that West Ham are capable of getting at least one more winner or possibly two. And that's going to put pressure on us to do the same. Nottingham Forest, a massive one on Friday night. But after West Ham and Spurs won today, they will probably know that if they finish on 39 points, there's a chance they could go down. So Forest will be looking at it going, we might need another one somewhere. Leeds might be thinking we need another couple of draws or at least one more one to survive. So it's all very much up in the air. But all we can do at the minute is keep winning games. And, I think if we were to go to Villa Park next week and win, then all of a sudden there's a lot more confidence and belief in the fans, in the team, and everyone connected. And it also maybe strikes a wee bit of fear into the teams above that, Spurs have started winning again. We may need to do more, and things can change rapidly over the next few weeks. But the one takeaway from today, and I think Darren is spot on with this, is if the performance levels are what they are over the next 4 games that they were today, we'll definitely not get enough points. So we've got to hit those levels that we played against Brighton, avoid the mistakes, and if we put that performance in against Brighton that we do next week and limit the mistakes, of course we can go to Villa and get a result. They're going to have at least one eye on them Nottingham Forest games in the Europa League. Chris, we were there last year in Bilbao. We know what it was like to be part of that atmosphere there before the final, then winning the final. We'll never forget that experience out there. And that Aston Villa have been starved of success. So, we know Unai Emery's record in the Europa League. We know how seriously he'll take it. So I think in terms of timing, we're playing Villa at the right time and between those 2 games against Nottingham Forest. But we're still going to have to perform a hell of a lot, because Villa losing today and Liverpool winning, and if United go and win at Brentford on Monday night, then Villa probably need at least one more win to secure a top 5 spot. So, they're not exactly put your feet up in the Premier League yet. So, very intriguing few weeks ahead, but we've just got to go to Villa and believe that we can win, and hopefully the performance is more similar to the Brighton game than it was today. And Chris, you'll know better than me, but our record at Villa Park over the years it's been one of our most favourite grounds. We've had some big results there, and we're going to do another one next week.
Gareth, just a very quick one as well. Same with Ricky. A quick yes or no. Are Spurs staying up in your opinion?
I have to say yes, because I have to believe. If I didn't believe, then why be on this podcast? Why even watch the games? But it's going to be difficult.
Do you think that it is just between Spurs and West Ham now? Because when I pull the table up here, like I mentioned earlier, Forest are 5 points above the drop zone. Leeds are 6 points above the drop zone. An interesting point as well that Darren brought up, and I know Darren mentions this a lot. I mentioned this during the game when it was at 0-0, saying that Spurs do lack creativity because, it did take us a fair while to have a shot on target. And when you look at our forward line, it is nowhere near the quality of when we had the likes of Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. And, the Spurs fans were celebrating as well when Everton got their equaliser today. Souček put West Ham 1-0 up after 51 minutes. Dewsbury Hall equalised on 88 minutes. The Spurs fan base thought that Everton were going to keep West Ham to a 1-1 draw. And then Callum Wilson pops up with a 92nd minute winner. And when you look at the assists, both assists were from Jared Bowen. And when you look at West Ham, when they've got a player like Bowen in that final third, you know that they're always going to have a chance to score or create an opportunity. But I just want to talk about that point that Darren brought up, and I think that's very, very valid. You know, where is the creativity coming from? Because Dominic Solanke, who Darren quite often criticises, does he have the service? Where is the service for someone like him in a game like this?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Jarrett Bowen would walk into the Spurs team, you know, and he's a big character. He's a big player for West Ham, and you feel that, you know, if he plays at his best over the next 4 weeks, then they've got a really good chance to stand up, because he can score goals, he can create goals like we've seen today, and it was a very, you know, if you didn't know any better, you would have thought today was the final day of the season, you know, because I've never seen as many cameras at a match, 4 matches or 5 matches from the finish, where, you know, I've seen as much of the Spurs fans as out of the match today on the TV. You know, they were constantly zooming in on you fans, Chris, because they were looking at your reactions, the goals going on West Ham, and it was very strange, but it was just because both teams were playing at the same time, and we knew the magnitude of today. But in terms of creativity, of course, I mean, I don't think Dominic Solanke is a bad player. I know Darren's got his opinion on him. I think he's a much better footballer than Richarlison, for example. But like you pointed out, whereas the service, I mean, Cowlin today, who we've been very critical of, I thought he had a half decent start, but he as the game went on in that first half, he was a man down. I don't want to be too critical of him because I was obviously very critical last week on him, and you know, but we all know what he's limited in his abilities. His confidence is drained, and he's out of position as well on that right side. You know, I've said about Matisse Tell, you know, that I haven't seen enough, but he is still a better option than Miani, and you know, he won that corner when he had no right to for the goal. And it's things like that with Miani, you don't really see that 100% commitment that maybe Tell does give you. And at the minute, as Darren pointed out, we haven't really got the quality. So he just one player's on there that's going to do that extra button. I think Conor Gallagher, since De Zerbi's come on, has done that. I don't think Ricky's pointed out he's been better, and he has been better. I don't think he's done anything outstanding, but he just seems to be working that a little bit harder and trying to make things happen. And Matisse held on that today. Xavi Simons, big blow if he's going to be out. I mean, if it's as serious as we think. I mean, at this stage of the season, Chris, a knock is usually 2 or 3 weeks. So any kind of knock is going to leave you out for the rest of the season. And it definitely looked like he won't be back. Madison, from what we hear, is just there for support. So he's probably not going to be featuring at any point this season. So it does worry as they were, you know, because the goal that we got, Chris, was a bit of a scrappy one, and you know, you're not going to get that every week. So there's a lot of evidence to support what Darren saying, as opposed to what Ricky's saying, that where are the goals going to come from? Where are these performances going to come from? Because if you're looking at the evidence at the moment, it's a massive ask, and it's a miracle. Really, we need more than actual evidence to suggest that we can get ourselves out of this. But as it is, I've seen miracles before in football. So we've just got to hope and pray it happens today. And to answer our question, Chris, about is it just Spurs or West Ham? I mentioned this last week on the show, and I'll mention it again because I do think it is important. Psychologically, I think playing first can be huge, and the fact that West Ham and Spurs both play before Forest do now. You know, Forest don't play the Monday week on the bank holiday. West Ham play on Saturday away at Brentford, and Spurs play at Villa Park on Sunday. If both those teams were to go and win, then Forest are back in it. Yeah. So it's not to say, you know, Forest will be, you know, they'd have been on their high horse after winning on Friday night, feet up. But the fact that both teams have won today, you know, obviously they've got to think about their European matches against Aston Villa, the first leg being this Thursday, and the second leg being after the Chelsea game that they play. But you know, if both those teams go and win, then Forest are going to be dragged back into it. So Spurs and West Ham obviously will be trying to take advantage of that. The difficult thing for us is West Ham are the closest team to us, and the fact that they play before us obviously doesn't do us any favours, because if they go and win at Brentford, then you know it's Villa's basically a must-win game, or we're going to be basically out of it. So it's an absolute nightmare when you're in this position where you're relying on all results. I mean, because you know, if Spurs won all their games, but West Ham won all their games, and we're down, so it's which is very unlikely. But you know, we've seen this in the title race where it happens with teams, and it's the same at the bottom in terms of psychological you want to be able to deal them psychological blows to your rivals. And the fact that we have to sit next Saturday through Brentford and West Ham and just hope that West Ham don't win that is going to be tough watching for us. But it's the situation that we're in, and we just have to find a way to deal with it, and then just hope we can take advantage on Sunday. And I think it would be better for us if we could drag another team on it, especially with Forest in Europe. But the only way we do that is if we keep winning games. But after today, Forest definitely not out of the woods yet. But you would still feel that West Ham or Spurs are the more likely team to go down.
As I mentioned earlier, I'm on Fanalysis, so please do scan the QR code and join me over there. We're now going to do the player ratings through Fanalysis out of 100. Ricky, let's talk about the starting 11 today. Kinski in goal, Porro, Danso, Van de Ven, Spence, Bentancur, Basuma, Kolomwani, Gallagher, Simmons, and Dominic Solanke. And the subs today: Austin, Dragusin, Polinia, Richarlison, Maddison, Tell, Gray, Bergval, and Souza. What did you make of the starting 11? And when you're ready to, give us your player ratings today out of 100 for the starting 11, the players that came on as subs, which of course we had 5. Managerial rating for Roberto De Zerbi, and of course the rating for referee Anthony Taylor.
When I saw the starting lineup, the only change that I would have probably put in there would have been Polinia for Basuma and Tell starting for Kolo. As we've spoken about Kolo a lot, but that was the only thing that I would have said about the starting lineup. When I saw it, look, the fact that we had a positive performance last week, we got a point. We didn't get the 3 last week, but we had a positive performance last week. I kind of understand why he didn't want to change the team. The thing is that with this team, what we have to remember is that we've had 2 managers. Well, this is the 3rd manager, but we've had 2 previous managers who were asking these players to play different tactics, different ways, different blocks. We know what Frank done. He took away all the football and played for throw-ins and free kicks and corners. And it's going to take a minute for these boys to jump back into gear. So the fact that they did last week, and we saw a positive display, and we should have won that game last week, but he's played the same team to kind of go, all right, and cool, go again. Let's see what you got. So the changes, I would have put in Polinia, and I would have put in Tell. But the starting lineup and the subs, you want me to give the points now, Chris?
Yeah, go for it.
You want to run through the scores? Yeah.
Yeah, go
so for me, I'm gonna give Kinski like a 70, 75, I think. Clean sheet. He didn't have much to do. Clean sheet. But that big save at the end, the free kick, especially after that Atletico horror show, for him to come in the last couple of games, I've been really impressed with him. I like his footwork. There was times that we passed it back to him, and that I felt safe. And he would put a pass out there. Sometimes it wasn't always in the air. It wasn't always in the corner. It wasn't always back to Wolves. It was to one of the Tottenham players. So I'm gonna give him a 75 today. Porro got a yellow, but again, industrious as ever. Full of energy. Again. But I'm going to give him a 65. Danso, fantastic. Not fantastic game, but again, after last week, where I felt that he had a really good game, and then that mistake right at the end, and then the abuse that he's got this week, to come back out in a Tottenham shirt, as he's always done whenever we've called on him, he stood up to be counted, and his head was on everything. There was a potential of a little mistake where Van de Ven and Danso, they didn't know who was going to take. There was an over-the-top ball, and there was a Wolves player running through. But there was hesitation. But Danso done enough to make sure Kinski got to it, and we cleared our lines again. So for Danso, I'm going to give Danso a 70 today. Mickey Van de Ven, it was almost a quiet game for Mickey van der Ven, but I feel that's because he was on it. Do you know what I mean? Like he done everything that he needed to do. So I'm going to give him a 70. Spence, I'm going to give a 65. I'm going to give Spence all right, I'll stay at 65. I'm going to stay at 65 for Spence. Up and down the wing, but I would have loved to have seen that marauding Spence and that take the game by the scruff of the neck Spence a bit more. But all in all, not too bad at all. So I'll give him a 65. Bentancur, Bentancur lasted the 90, didn't he, Chris? He didn't come off today, did he? Does anyone remember?
No, he stayed on. He didn't come off. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry about the back.
Okay, so it's all right, sunshine. Bentancur, you know what? Coming back from another long injury, I felt that he done what he does in midfield, which is he's got calm, assuredness, doesn't mind wriggling out of trouble when he's surrounded by players. So I'm going to give him a 75. I'm going to give him a 70. No, I'm going to give him a 75. That header, I forgot about the header. So he was willing and trying. So I'm going to give him a 75. Basuma, I'm going to give a 55. I felt that, there's Basuma is one of the midfielders that we actually need to actually get on it. He's a ball carrier. He's a ball progressor. He's got energy galore and all of those things, but we haven't seen that in so long. But there were, for me, Basuma wasn't too bad, but every time that he had the ball and he tried to create an attack with a ball over the top to one of the wings or somebody in the middle, it was always off. Again, it was always either too hard, too short, not in the right direction. So I'm going to give him a 55. Then we had Conor Gallagher. Again, you know what? Really impressed with Conor. I'm going to give Conor a 68. I'm going to give him a 68, just under a 70. But again, industrious, all over the place. I'm starting to see what he can bring to a Tottenham side. Xavi, I'm going to give a 65. He was getting in there. He was trying to make things happen. The injury was really unfortunate. I felt that, I'll speak about it. I'll speak about the first half when we get there. But, I felt that the more that we was getting the ball to him, the more that he was trying to make things happen. So, yeah, that's what I'll go with him. I'll go 65 for Xavi. Solanke, a bit of he actually picked up the baton from last week where he had a really good, industrious game. Yes, I think, Daz is right in the sense that like shots on goal, etc., etc. Of course, you need your striker to do that. But last week he was a battering ram and, he would have got man of the match if he played for Sunderland and his name was Brobby, but we won't talk about it. We'll keep it moving. But today I felt that he started in that same vein. But the injury, there was too much. We didn't get the ball into him enough, but there was too much break up of play. So people would foul him or whatnot. And then the injury, So I'm going to give him a 60. I'm going to give him a 60. And Kolo Muani, I'm going to give him what I gave him last week. And purely out of politeness, I'm going to give him his shirt number, which is 39. Really and truly, for me, he was lower than a 39. But I'm going to go as polite as I can and go 39. I felt that he broke, he was a willing runner. And he, there was energy happening around him. There was things, he was trying to make things happen. But at the same time with Kolo, the two shots that just went, I don't know where, and it just felt every time it went into him, nothing positive was really going to happen. So I'll give him a 39. Now we had substitutions as well, didn't we? Dragosin came on right at the end. I'm going to give him a 50 just because, he done what he had to do just to close out the game. Bergvall came on. I'm just going to give him... I'll give him a 60 as well. Just, he was getting in there. He was pressing high. He was trying to nick the ball high, trying to make things happen as well. So I'll give him a 60. Who else came on? Tell. I'm going to give Tell a 65. So much better than Colo on that right-hand side. You can tell that he wants to do well for Tottenham, for himself, for the fans, for the points. And yeah, really enjoy. I liked what he done when he came on. I think he has to 100% start on that right-hand side in the next game. So yeah, I'll give him a 65. Richarlison didn't do nothing for me really. So I'm going to give him a 60. I was going to give him a 55, but I'll give him a 60 because he actually set up the Paulinho goal, maybe by accident, but he did. He got in there. So I'll give Richie a 60. Who's left?
Paulinho.
Subs wise, I don't know.
Paulinho.
The goal scorer.
Paulinho. Oh well, I'm gonna give him a 70. I'm gonna give him a 70. Came on, showed us what we was missing. Through Basuma. When Basuma was in that position, we wasn't really getting much, like I say, and everything was going wayward. But as soon as he came on, again, up for the mission. I really like Paulinho. Up for the mission, up for the fight. He's there to make things happen. He's there to get his foot in and get the tackles and break up play. But also, he was a willing runner, and he was like, he wanted that win, and you saw that celebration as well. And those boys need to celebrate as well. There's been so much tension on their backs for so long. It's almost a relief. It's almost like a breath that they can actually breathe now when they scored. So big up Paulinho. I'm going to give him a 70. It would have been higher, but it's only like the amount of minutes that he was on the field is the reason that I'm giving him a 70. But yeah, all in all, not too bad scores this week.
Ricky, just very quickly, scores for De Zerbi and the referee, Anthony Taylor.
Score for De Zerbi, I'm going to give him an 80, because we haven't won all season and he's made. I was going to give him a 75, but I'm going to give him an 80 for the win and for inspiring those boys to get a win, inspiring the performance last week, but not letting their heads drop, telling them they need to come in with a smile on their face. Don't be heartbroken. Trust in me, and the boys pretty much done that. So I'm going to give him an 80. Good subs as well. Referee, do you know what? Am I going to be kind? Oh, I don't even know. I just can't stand any of the referees recently, but I'm going to go 50. I'm just going to go down the middle. I'm just going to go down the middle for him. I do feel that he should have given us a bit more, but it was one of those games. So it was a bit of an either-or game. You know what I mean? You could give a yellow, you could give a foul, you could have stopped it, but it's like 50-50 choices. So half of them didn't go our way, as per usual, but I'll give him a 50. That's the highest referee score so far, by the way, from me.
Darren, do you want to give us the player ratings very quickly?
Okay, cool. Right. All right, cool. As a wise man once said. All right, cool. All right, Kinski, I'm going to go. All right, cool. I'm going to go 80. That save at the end was unbelievable. That was a match-winning save. He didn't have a lot to do, and he didn't put a foot wrong, really. All his decisions were good. None of this sort of passing round the back. I'm going to give him a solid 80. Defense, Pedro Porro, 75 for me. He was good. He was in it. He was there. Danso, 75. A couple of wayward passes, but a solid performance. Van de Ven, quite a quiet game, but I'll give him a 70. Didn't put a lot wrong, really, apart from that one funny moment with him and Danso, the little, what have you at the back, 70. Jed Spence, 75, very industrial. I like him. Moves forward, defends well, moves forward. Into the midfield, Basuma, 65. I think was all right. Wasn't amazing, but solid, 65. Bentancur, 70. His positioning's great. He knows where he is. He knows he likes to move the ball forward. He's got great vision. He can see the game. He can read the game well. 70 for Bentancur. Gallagher, I'm going to go with 70 again. He runs around a lot. He's incredibly energetic. Gallagher, 70. I mean, to be honest, like Kinski, I'm just going to preempt the attack by saying Kinski gets my highest score because, yes, we won. Yes, it was our first win. But the performance-wise, I don't think we're shouting from the rooftops. So that's why the highest score goes to Kinski. Attack, Mwani, 40. He was sort of doing a few bits and pieces on the right. Maybe he's out of position, but you know my feelings towards him. I just don't see the point, really. He's a striker that can't strike a ball. It's like me trying to play the flute. You don't want to fucking hear it, do you? And then Solanke. Don't know where that came from. Solanke, 65. Some nice defensive headers, dropping back, breaking up the play. He did do some good work, but fundamentally, I'm sorry to repeat myself, he's a striker. So I'm going to give him 65. Xavi Simons, 75. And I really hope that he does well. I really hope that he recovers, and this isn't it for the season for him because he's our one creative player. 75 for Xavi. And then we move on to the subs. Dragusin, 50. All right. Did what he had to do. Was a couple of wayward passes, a couple of silly passes. Bergvall, 65. I like Bergvall. I think he's an absolute talent. Didn't do a lot right. Didn't do a lot wrong today. So 65. Tell, 75. I thought when he came on, he got stuck in straight away. Really good to see Tell. Why he didn't start, God only knows. If he doesn't start against Villa, honestly, you can bend me over and put Vaseline all over my body and then just have fun, have your way with me. I don't understand it. Don't understand it. That analogy won't be one I'm going to use again. And Paulinho, 70, match-winning goal. Good on him. Did what he had to do. Richie, 65. I'm not a fan of Richie. He's the best of a bad bunch. I'm sorry. You know, it's like you look in the cupboard and, you know, everything's off. The sell-by date's off for everything. You're just thinking, well, what the fuck do I do with this lot? What one do I pick? I'm hungry. So Richie, 65. De Zerbi, we got our first win of the season, and it was a much better performance, 80. It wasn't credible. We didn't batter them, so 80 for De Zerbi. And the ref, I don't think he got a lot of wrong today, to be honest. There wasn't a lot of time that I was shouting and screaming, so I'll give him a 70. Anthony Taylor, was it? I'll give him a 70. I don't think it was any sort of controversial stuff that warranted him getting a lower score. That's the results from the Israeli panel. And now, bienvenue, good luck.
Right, let's move on. Gareth, let's talk about the game itself. Roberto De Zerbi has just come out and said, I think in the first half, in the first 30 to 35 minutes, we played well. We didn't create big chances to score, but anyway, we had total control of the game. This is exactly how I saw the game. We had total control. Wolves didn't look like scoring, but neither did we. We did have chances, but not clear-cut chances. After 5 minutes, header went wide after a Pedro Porro free kick. A minute later, Pedro Porro had a shot at the goalkeeper. After 12 minutes, Cowlin Mwani gifted a chance by the Wolves defence, but put it wide. I'm going to stop on that point because Roberto De Zerbi said that he don't like changing many players from game to game. Cowlin Mwani, I know we touched on this last week. When you're gifted a chance like that, at least you've got to get the chance on target.
I think he's probably doing his best, Chris, but his best just isn't good enough. There's a reason why, you know, PSG didn't want him and haven't wanted him for a couple of seasons. I know Darren made an analogy there about getting bent over backwards, but that's what happened to PSG when they spent 100 million euros on Cowlin Mwani. Just not good enough. And it is a head scratcher as to why Roberto De Zerbi favours him. You know, he's actually favouring a player that's out of form, out of confidence, and out of position. So I think that's got to be changed next week. I mean, if Randall Cowlin Mwani is starting next week, I actually believe that Darren's analogy might be happening between the two of them, to be honest, if that's the case. Because I can't foresee any reason why after three very poor performances, under De Zerbi, he'd be getting another chance against Aston Villa when, I've spoke about Matisse Tell's limitations, but he does bring a bit more to the party than Miani does at the moment. So I would like to see that change going on to Villa Park next week. In terms of the game itself, Chris, I don't know if it was the first 30 or 35 minutes we played. I thought we started the game very well. I thought the first 15 minutes was probably the time in the game when we moved the ball and really penned them back. That was the only point in the game I really felt that we were going to score. Once Wolves got out of that period, when we got the goal in the 82nd minute, I didn't necessarily feel at that stage that the goal was coming. I kind of felt that it was going to need to be a moment of magic, like a great strike from distance, or a bit of a lucky set piece, or something goes scrappy one going in, and that's what happened. That's what it tended to be at the end. You can't really say that on watching that 90 minutes that if it had finished a draw, you could not really argue that we deserved to win the game. So, whilst we're delighted that we won the game, I wouldn't share De Zerbi's opinion of it being total dominance for 35 minutes. I didn't really see that. I thought first 15 minutes was good, and we never really got back to that level. But maybe Ricky did make a point earlier on that if you maybe score during that period, it might become a different game, and you go on to maybe get another goal and you dominate the match the way you want to. But that's the one thing I've been very critical of on recent weeks. You think about the game at Anfield. It took us to the very end to score, but that second half we were very much in the game, and it took us to the 92nd minute to score. The Brighton game, when we were 1-0 up, we had chances to put the game to bed, and we didn't. And the Wolves game today, in those first 15 minutes, you've got to score when you're on top, especially when you're a team that aren't really creating a lot of chances, like Darren pointed out. A team that hasn't won a game since December in the league. We're not going to dominate football matches. We're not going to have 90 minutes where we're totally on top. And that's going to be the same at Villa Park next week. If we do have a spell in that game where we're on top and, creating, we've got to capitalise on that, because if we don't at Villa Park, we'll be punished, because they've got players, much better players than Wolves, and players that are on form like Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins. So, and let's be honest as well, whilst these teams a lot of these players are fighting for their places at the World Cup. Ollie Watkins is in his best period of the season. Morgan Rogers has obviously got a lot of competition with the likes of Jude Bellingham and others. So you're also fighting against that as well at this stage of the season. So I would like to think that, moving forward, we capitalise on these good spells, because I don't really see or foresee a Spurs team stringing a 90-minute performance together where we go, where did that come from? I just don't see that with this team at the moment. It's going to be little phases in games, and we've got to make sure that we take our opportunities.
Yeah, I think what De Zerbi said and what I meant as well is that Spurs did have a lot of the ball and Wolves didn't have any chances at all in that opening 45 minutes. After 13 minutes, Jed Spence had a shot which was blocked from 20 yards. A minute later, Tottenham corner to Pedro Porro. That one went over the bar. On 19 minutes, Javi Simmons running through the centre, but he overhit to Jed Spence. That was a disappointing through ball. A couple of minutes later, Basuma to Spence, overhit. There was a few groans in the away end at that point. On 28 minutes, Solanke with a good block defensively. 3 minutes later, Javi Simmons through ball went out of play. Another frustrating moment. On 40 minutes, Dominic Solanke going off injured, Richarlison coming on. And then there were a few boos at half time. And then, of course, Matisse Tell coming on, Cowlin Mawani going off. Ricky, how are you feeling at that halfway point, particularly with that sub? Because I know you're a big fan of Matisse Tell. And for me, I felt that he was a real impact player, and he changed the game in the second half.
It was a sub that needed to happen, and I'm so happy that the manager was brave enough to make it, especially at half time. For me, the 45 minutes when we was playing well, there was always times where it broke down, right? So, that Solanke injury, it broke down. Every time that something good would happen, it would just end up fittering away. So I feel that and then we had, wasn't there a Wolves player down for a while in that first half, which kind of broke the momentum as well. So I think towards the end of that first half, I think part of us was going, you know what, let's get into half time at 0-0. I think that was almost the approach at the end of the first half. But going into that second half and bringing on Matisse straight away to kind of take over that right wing spot where Kolo was playing, I thought it was a fantastic sub, and I think that is it's almost set the fate of Kolo right now. If you look at the performance on the right wing with Kolo in the first half compared to Tel in the same position in the second half, we got so much more out of Tel. Not only like the crosses, he was trying to attempt shots that, yes, they ended up getting blocked, but his tenacity to keep fighting for balls that were, you know, were 2 inches away from going out for a goal kick or whatever, him getting in there and keeping the move and keeping the ball alive to try and get something out of us, I thought was really, really good. But I think that's almost in De Zerbi's head. I think that must be the moment that he goes, right, well, I think I need to start Tel on the right-hand side. And especially now that Solanke is out. Now, we don't know what's happened with Solanke right now. And Xavi, to be fair. But more than likely, Richie starts against Villa. So you're going to need Kolo on the bench so that we've got a striker. I know he's not a striker, Darren. I mean, technically he is, but I know, Daz, before you give me those eyes, all right? But yeah, I think we're going to have to start Richie and then have Kolo as an option as striker to come off and swap with Richie in that second half next week. So Kolo ain't going nowhere. He's still going to be involved into the end, I feel. But I think that the starting spot, I think that's gone right now. I think the fate has been sealed today with those substitutions, and they're full 45 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Full 45 minutes in the first half for Kolo, full 45 in the second for Tel. You look at those two, you can compare and contrast, and you go, you'd be a blind man not to start Tel against Villa. So I think he done tremendous to come on. I think that he really implemented energy and his game and his will on the game in that second half. And, you know, I've said all season, I think that he should start a bit more just because you can see it in him. Yes, he's young. Yes, he doesn't have the full package right now. But look at their ages, right? So what is Tel? Tel is what, 21, 22? And like Kolo, I think he's 27. I've got a feeling 27-ish. You know, they're worlds apart. They're worlds apart. And Kolo, you could say, is the more experienced, yada, yada, yada. But what's he giving? What's he giving? What's he giving us? If you receive the ball and then trip over your own feet, which is something that Richie does a lot as well, but if you get the ball and trip over your own feet when we're trying to attack and when we're on a good break or a good move, I mean, what can we say to that? So bless you, Kolo. We're still going to need you, bro. We're still going to need you off the bench, but I think your starting spot is gone. And well done to Tel. Long may that continue. I think, you know, whether he's on the right or the left, get him in the damn side.
Darren, let's come to you. In the second half, moments after the second half started in the 46th minute, Wolves had a header deflected just wide. On 47 minutes, so Tel had been on the pitch for less than 2 minutes at this point. He put in a decent cross and it couldn't quite go through to Richarlison. The Spurs away end at this point were getting a bit anxious because we'd heard that West Ham had gone 1-0 up. And then just moments later, Xavi Simons with a super chance, and he blasted it over the bar, which there were a lot of groans in the away end, I must say, at that point. And then 2 minutes later, Richarlison with a chance, he blasted over the bar. Certainly a few more groans at that point. 4 minutes later, Xavi Simons went down injured. It seemed that the physios come over, they sorted him out. He was about to come back on, and then he dropped to the floor. He was stretchered off. So, of course, as you guys have already mentioned, we don't know how long he is going to be out for. Dominic Solanke also. Wolves had a free kick on 65 minutes, having been brought down by Bentancur. Free kick went just wide after 20 yards. On 68 minutes, Tel with a shot deflected wide. Spurs had a corner headed towards goal. Offside flag went up on 69 minutes. 74 minutes, Conor Gallagher with a yellow card. And then a good block from Danso on 79 minutes. On 81 minutes, Tel, good work over by the corner flag. Lots of noise from the away end. Darren, I'm going to give you this question because you're quite critical of Spurs in the final third. What did you make of Matisse Tell's performance? And also, let me ask you about Javi Simmons. What did you make of him today? Because his performance against Brighton last week, at some point you feel like he has turned a corner and he's going to be that guy to deliver consistently for Spurs. Is he that guy? Can he do it for Tottenham on a consistent basis?
Well, you've just used the word consistent twice, Chris, and I think you've hit the nail on the head, because we haven't had a consistent number 10, a playmaker, and consistent number 9s that just banging goals since Kane and Son and their link-up play. We just don't have that creativity. And why the board, the owners, Langer, the other fella who came and went, forgotten his name, I'm like with names, never got us a replacements. I don't understand. I mean, if he is out for the rest of the season, it'll be an absolute travesty. But yeah, I mean, in terms of creativity, Simmons took a while to get going. And we all thought, oh, God, this guy's a bit slight. He's getting knocked off the ball. But then he finds his feet. I've forgotten the game he had, but it was like a hero game. And it was like, bloody hell, here we go. And I think that he is a number 10. He's a proper number 10. Stick him in the middle. It's like when Kulusevski comes in off the right and is in that number 10 role. The same thing. Can just sit there and pick a pass, left, right, forward. It's what Spurs don't have. And I'm really sorry to repeat myself, but this is why we are where we are, because we don't have any creativity and we don't have any link-up play with the forwards, and we don't have forwards that can fundamentally score goals. You can drop back and you can do the donkey work and you can head clearances and all of that and work hard and run hard, yada, yada, yada. But if you don't do what you're paid to do and what your position is, then you're nowhere. So that's my answer to your question, Chris. We desperately need number 10s and strikers. And unless we have that, a creative midfielder who can link up with strikers and work out patterns of play. That's why Tottenham Hotspur's modus operandi is get it out to the right, get it out to the left, put a ball in the middle and see what happens. You see other teams breaking the lines, playing beautiful balls through the centre. Not Tottenham. When was the last time you saw us do that, Chris? We don't work the ball fundamentally.
Darren, just a quick word on Roberto De Zerbi. How impressed have you been with the work that he has done at Spurs so far? Because, of course, he's managed us now for 3 games. 1 win, 1 draw, 1 defeat.
Yeah. Well, he's not Ego Tudor, so that's a blessing. I mean, listen, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 defeat. I mean, listen, give the guy time, Igor Tudor, bless him. What was everyone said he's there to fight fires. This is what he does. He comes and he fights fires. Jesus Christ, looks like he's had a box of matches and some fucking Swan Vesta. He started fires. Fuck me. So he can't be worse than him. I think he's in jail for arson at the moment, isn't he, Chris? Igor Tudor.
Right. No more questions for Darren. Darren, you're banned.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? We're all men. We're all grown men. We've all got,
Gareth, let's come to you. Let's talk about the goal itself. Do you want to talk us through it? Because, it was a scrappy goal from João Palhinha, but it's not the first time this season he has saved us from a draw or a defeat. And also, would you pay the money for João Palhinha? Because reports from Sky Germany this week are stating that Spurs want to renegotiate. They want João Palhinha, but they want to renegotiate for him.
Like he says there, he's scored some important goals this season. I think he scored 5 or 6 goals. For a defensive midfielder, that's quite a good return. We haven't quite seen him a lot recently, but he was more of a feature under Thomas Frank, wasn't he? And he was one of the main threats for a goal due to the tactics that were being deployed. But no, he's a very, very solid player. I don't understand why we would want to renegotiate, because I thought there was a fee of around 20 million euros agreed, if he was to sign. So I think that's a really good deal. Of course, for Spurs, they want to try and save 10 pence, but I wouldn't be wasting too much time on that. I don't think you'll get him for much cheaper than that. So just pay the money and get him in. I think he's a very, very good squad player. He's not really a get on the ball and open up defenses type of player, but he is a very solid option. And like the lads pointed out, he has a very passionate type of player. And we haven't really got that in the squad. We've been crying out for that type of leadership and passion and desire. So no, I think it's a no-brainer. They get him signed up permanently. Well, are you want to play in the championship? If we go down, that might be someone else that might have to be renegotiated. He might decide that he wants to play in the Premier League or another major league. But obviously that'll have to be sorted out at the end of the season. The goal itself, you have to give Tell a lot of credit because he was second favourite. They get that ball and he won a corner out of nothing really. And we obviously went very close from the previous corner earlier in the game where Bentancur was denied by Jose Sa. So I kind of felt that that's been one of our stronger points this season, scoring from set pieces and corners especially. So it was probably our most likely route they breaking Wolves down in, and that's what it's what actually came true. So look, as it says earlier on, delighted to get the one, delighted to get the 3 points, but there's so much more room for improvement there. I share Darren's reservations about how much more improvement can there be because we haven't necessarily got the players, but we're just going to have to see these player ratings that we're giving out, these 65s and 60s and 65s. We need to be over the next 4 weeks coming on here and be talking about 85s and 95s if we're going to get out of this. That's my honest opinion.
Ricky, lastly with you, do you want to have a quick word on Polinia's goal? And also, I know we've touched on it already, but the save from Kinski right at the end, this could be a vital save in our Premier League survival.
Yeah, you know what? With Paulinho, I would take up the option to sign him. The one thing that is great about him is that he's a different profile of midfielder. True DM, all right? Yes, he can cover the back. Yes, he gets his tackles in. He gets his body in the way. But also, he might not be able to pass the ball forward, but he gets up there and has scored goals for us this season. Passionate player, but a totally different midfield profile. There's a lot of the time that we get samey midfielders, and he's totally different to that. So, as a squad player, as somebody to come in and do a job, I think he would be really good within the squad. I loved the winner today. I was just begging and praying. As the second seemed so long ticking down, and I was just begging and praying that we was gonna score, and he made it happen, man. And I'm so happy for him. I loved his celebration. He ran into the crowd again. And it was a massive relief for us because it was heading towards a 0-0, or you could see another deflected shot or something like that going against us. But we kept it solid. We believed. We scored that goal and we got the 3 points. Kinski, I'm so proud of, mate. I'm so proud of, because a lot of pundits around the world after that first leg at Atletico, they was like, well, that's the end of him. They were comparing him to Cassius. And I always forget this gentleman's name, Chris, but jump in when you find it. But there's a guy who watches Czech football. I can't remember his name. He's such a lovely bloke. But when we was on with him, he was speaking about Kinski and the run of games. And I think that having a run of games, you get to see the best out of Kinski. You get to see him jump into rhythm. And these last 3 games, I've been impressed with him, mate. With his footwork, some of the saves. It was a massive save today. I think that is going to do wonders for his head and his heart and his confidence. But I would continue playing him. If rumours are true that Vicario is going to be going in the summer, then I would have him on the bench, bro. He's just come back from injury. I would have Vicario on the bench. Let him be a leader in the dressing room, in the locker room, at half times, before the games. But I would stick with Kinski right now. If you see he moves, he gets us moving the ball a lot better. He doesn't panic on it. And he could have had that whole Atletico Madrid game in his head every time the ball comes back to him. But, he's brushed that aside and he's grown and he's built on it. So I'm really impressed with Kinski. What a great save for him to be the hero of the moment and have a hero moment instead of a villain moment. He's had his villain moment against Atletico first leg, but today he got his hero moment. And I would love to see that continue. I would love to see him building it. I'd love to see him grow it. And I'd love to see him back in goal against Villa when we play next. So well done, Kinski. Well done, Paulinho. Yes, there's problems galore in this squad and with injuries and, you know, with things going our way. But today we put our best foot forward and we made sure that we got over the line tonight. And that's what's more important. We had a performance last week. We didn't get the 3 points. We got 1. We didn't get 3. Today, we didn't really have the best. We had a good performance, you know, but we didn't have the best of performances. But most importantly, we won. We won a game of football. We won 3 points. We put the cat amongst the pigeons. We're in this fight. We're throwing jabs and we're landing them. Like, all right, cool. We've still got 4 more rounds to go and we're going to need to deliver a couple of knockout punches. But at least we are on the road to that. Do you know what I mean? At least it might be a very unlikely scenario, but at least we are on the road to that. When it comes down to West Ham, you know, I've said for a long time, since they beat us, basically, but they've deserved the points and they've deserved to be out of the relegation zone right now. They've put a lot of effort in since January, since Nuno's come in, since the January window. They went and bought, they invested, they tried to make it happen, and you've seen results turn. While we haven't been able to, do anything. But suddenly De Zerbi's come along and we're in this fight. So let's have it. Let's keep going. I love that Paulinho and Kinski have had a good game today. A winner and a clean sheet and a hero moment. Beautiful. I hope that team is buzzing and I hope they can't wait to get back to work on Monday and go for it again.
Yeah, well said on Paulinho and Kinski. And the away crowd today, excellent as per usual, especially given the season that we've had, the away fans have been brilliant. Roberto De Zerbi has just come out and said we must give our very best every day for our fans. I hope this win today can be crucial. Now, of course, as Ricky said, we've got 4 Premier League games left, 12 points to play for, and this team must carry on winning football matches. It is as simple as that. Final question for you all, just to wrap things up, 1 minute each. Ricky, let's start with you. Final question, Aston Villa next week. What do you want to see? What are your expectations? And if you dare, give us a score prediction, and I'll come back to that question. Are Spurs staying up, if you want to answer it?
For me, what I'd love to see is a mix of both of these weeks. So I would like the performance from Brighton, but I'd like the result from today, as in the 3 points. I want us to go out there confident. I don't want us to go out there weak and waiting for them. I want us to go out there and do what we've done today with possession, but also keep moving forward. I want to see the confidence in them that they've gained from the result today, that they gained from last week. I want to see some confidence. I want to see some expression. I want to see some chests high. When it comes down to the prediction, I'm sticking with my prediction. The same prediction. It's going to be the same prediction the whole way through into the end of the season. 4-1 Tottenham. I don't care. I know we've got no strikers, Daz. Don't look at me like that. 4-1 Tottenham. We're going to win. And you know what, bro? Are we going to
He didn't even look up. He didn't even look up.
On.
Darren didn't even look up. He's like,
I know.
4-1.
But I can feel it, though. Bro, I can feel it. I can feel it.
Can you do me a favour?
But are we going to stay up? Go on.
Just pass me what you're smoking, please.
You can't afford it, bruv. You can't afford it. No, I'm only joking. Right. I'm only joking. No. Are we staying up? I tell you what. Before Brighton, all I had was prayers. After Brighton, I had a prayer and a dream. After today, I've got a prayer, dream, hope. My hope's back, and my belief. I've got more belief today. So, you know what? With all of those things said, are we going to stay up? Yes, of course we bloody well are. Come on, Tottenham, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. We need some magical results, like Gaz said. Do you know what I mean? You know, yes, we're going to go up against Villa. Yes, we're going to go up against Chelsea. But you know what? It's not about the opposition right now. We're worried about the opposition all season. Worry about us. Concentrate on us. Make sure that we do the right things and make sure that we make the right moves and make sure we strike on and make sure that everything that is positive and about us, let's worry about us. Don't worry about them, man. We know what they're coming with. Worry about us. Concentrate on us. Keep the energy on Tottenham Hotspur. Don't worry about any other team, and let's just keep moving forward. So let's have it.
So stand up, yeah? Stand up then, yeah?
Yeah, come on. We're going to stay up. Yeah, of course we are. Come on.
Darren,
it's the first time that I've said that all year.
Yeah.
Right. Well, when we've finished getting our head out the bong, let's get a bit of a reality. Can I ask you something? Do you live in a Disney castle with like bluebirds landing on picket fences and you sort of, you know, doing that and lovely princesses and no, I don't think we are. I'm sorry.
Only on Sunday mornings, bruv. Only on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, there you go. I honestly, no, I'm going to give a reality. I've seen nothing for me to suggest that we've got the firepower or the creativity to attack these teams. I'm sorry. Villa are doing well. Ollie Watkins is scoring. Morgan Rogers, Leeds, they're doing well. Chelsea, bloody hell, if we can get a point at Stamford Bridge, that'll be a result for us. Then Everton at home, maybe we'll get a win from them. But I don't think it's enough. I think we've shot ourselves in the foot all season, and I'm really sorry. I don't want to piss on your fire, mate, but I just don't think it's enough. I'm sorry. I just don't. Today we should have put an absolute stamp down, and we got a scrappy winner and a poor performance. Honestly, if winning this way is an indication how we're going to play for the rest of the season, this doesn't determine it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you're trying to be really sensible, Darren, but I think that a lot of us are hoping that Ricky is right.
No, listen, of course I am.
Me too.
Of course I am. Of course I am, 100%. But I'm just, all I can base it on is what I've seen. And what today tells me, the way we won today, if that is our version of winning a game, a scrappy little whoop by Richie and then a poke in, that doesn't dictate, in that case, we're going to win the next 5 games. I'm sorry, I just don't see it, Chris.
Well, that's what Ricky said last week. We're going to win the next 5 games.
Well, you know, bless him.
Yeah. Do you want to give us a score prediction?
Well, I've got 1 out of 5.
All right then. Let me be kind. Let's say 1-1, 2-2.
Okay, Gareth, what are you thinking about next week?
Listen to these two. It's like that film, The Matrix. Darren's on the blue pole and Ricky's on the red pole. And then Ricky's on the Matrix, isn't he? Ricky's on the Matrix.
Absolutely.
Look, I think Villa playing in Europe is an advantage. They're going to have a lot of focus on that. There will be some tired legs, maybe going on this Sunday. You know, it's getting to that stage of the season. So, you know, they were beat today. So, I mean, it's not beyond the realms that we can get a result at Villa Park. We've had some brilliant results at Villa Park over the years. And let's hope for another one. I feel as if it's probably going to be a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, which I don't think's a bad result. But unfortunately, if West Ham beat Brentford on Saturday, a draw would be a bad result. So, I mean, our best hope is maybe West Ham are beaten there at Brentford. We get a point at Villa Park, and we're a point behind going into the final 3 games. I think we would probably settle for that now. I mean, you know, we're 2 points behind. So I think if we were to come out of next weekend 1 point behind, I think we would probably accept that as a decent weekend. Look, I hope there is a miracle result. Like Ricky believes there. But a draw for me would be a decent result, and it'll give us belief going into that Leeds game that we can beat them, and hopefully that'll get us out of the bottom 3 going into the final 2 games. But I think Villa Park or Stamford Bridge will need at least one big result.
Yeah, and do you know what? Whilst travelling to Wolverhampton today, I put a video out saying that I think that Spurs will win today 1-0, and it'll be a scrappy 1-0 win. And do you know what? My score prediction for next week against Aston Villa is exactly the same. 1-0, scrappy, 1-0 win. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
I'll take it.
After 118 days without a Premier League win, we finally got there today, but we can't get carried away. It must continue. And like you guys have already said, it is about us. We have to win. And, looking at other results then comes secondary. But, we've got to keep putting performances in and we've got to win football matches. Gareth, thanks so much for joining us. And we will see you again soon.
Thanks very much, Chris. Take care. Enjoy the trip to Villa Park next week, and let's hope it's one of the happier results we've had at Villa Park over the years coming back again.
Fingers crossed. Gareth, thank you so much. And Darren, thanks so much to you. What are you up to at the moment, and where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, Instagram. I should need to put out more content, to be honest. I'm not really doing a lot at the moment, so I need to do that. And I'm just doing my voiceovers and impressions and all that. Thank you, Chris. I'll let you go because you've got to go down the M1. So drive safe.
I was going to say, do you want to give us an impression before you go?
Not really, but thanks for asking.
I thought you wanted to advertise yourself and advertise.
No, honestly, mate, no, it's very kind of you. I've enjoyed today, though. It's been fun. Thank you ever so much. Really enjoyed it. It's a good one.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like bringing James Black on, saying, "Do you want to sing?" And he goes, "No."
Yeah. I could, but listen, if you can afford the invoice, then feel free.
All right. Be miserable then. All right, Ricky, do you want to do any impressions before we go?
I'm not good with impressions, but I tell you what, I'll do an impression of a happy Tottenham fan. It's been an honor and a pleasure always to be on with you beautiful gentlemen and all you beautiful people around the world. We got 3 points today. We got 3 points. We're in the fight, all right? If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Ricky J. Norwood. Official Ricky Norwood on Insta. And if you want to check out what me and my brother Darren Altman get up to, check out T-Talk and Tottenham. It's two mates just bantering and chatting and going through this madness that is Tottenham Hotspur. So it's all one word in YouTube. You'll be able to find us. Episode 13 dropped, I think, yesterday or the day before. So check it out, guys. Check it out. And let's keep this winning feeling going. All right? Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's do what De Zerbi said to the players. No frowns, no heads down, big smiles, and let's keep it going. All right, we're on the road. We're in the fight. Let's have it.
Chris, before we go, I've been working on a new one. Okay, this is my impression of a guy in a '90s American boy band. You ready? Here we go.
How do we explain that for people listening on audio platforms?
To their listeners.
There you go. I've been working on that.
Do you know what? You don't have to explain it. The listeners will feel it, Chris. They will feel it. They will feel the energy that Dad's put out.
Feel the love.
And then that means that they're going to have to tune in.
No, I'm going to
they're going to have to tune in to see it for themselves.
It was terrible. Don't bother.
How dare you?
Ricky, Darren, Gareth, thank you so much. And as Ricky said, let's stay positive. Let's keep positive until the very end, because it could go all the way to the very end, and it could even go to the goal difference. So fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll be back again next week after Spurs have beaten Aston Villa at Villa Park. Enjoy your week, everyone. Look out for all of the other content. The press conferences are now out on the channel as well. Stay safe and well. Thanks so much for all of your incredible support as always, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on.